Welcome to KSTP.com and 1500ESPN.com Viking Sports Wrap. My name is Darren Doogie Wolfson. I'm here with beat reporter Tom Pelissero. Tom, a little weird to see a number 74 out there and it not being Bryant McKinnie.
It is, and you look at the differences in their bodies, not just the weight. Obviously, Johnson is not nearly as wide as Bryant McKinnie, but also Bryant McKinnie is built. He's 6'8". He's got such long arms. You see Charlie Johnson, he's a little bit smaller. He's built more like a guard. He looks more like Anthony Herrera than he does like Bryant McKinnie. It'll be really interesting to see how he fares now if they put him out there left tackle, which they intend to do tomorrow, and how he does going forward, because I've talked to a lot of people who don't think that ultimately left tackle is his destination in the NFL.
So what is it? Is it guard? Is it right tackle? Could Phil Loadholt shift over to left tackle?
Well, the issue with Loadholt at left tackle is his feet. He just doesn't move. You need to be really quick over there. You need to have good feet at the left tackle position. Loadholt's more of a plotter. He's more of a power player. He's built like a right tackle. There's a possibility he could do it, and he does have obviously the technique and the size for it, but is he quick enough? That's the big question there.
Percy Harvin, I was watching him a little bit today. They're going to move him around, but I think anybody who thinks that they'll line him up out wide is delusional. Based on his size, he's a guy who can shift around a little bit like Brian Westbrook, but we're not going to see Harvin out wide in this new offense.
Well, you'll see him some. I mean, they have to. He's going to start at the flanker position, but you're right. What Percy Harvin does well is space play. It's manufactured touches. It's reverses and bubble screens. That's what they want to be able to do. That's one thing Bill Musgrave, and I've had a chance to spend a little bit of time with him, says over and over and over again. They want to suit the offense to the player's strengths. And frankly, during the Brad Childress era, there were a lot of times when you question whether or not they were doing that.
Shiancoe and Rudolph stood out today. Those two tight ends are going to be featured a lot in this offense, aren't they?
They are, and I think that they both are guys who can do a lot of different things. Now, Rudolph initially is probably not as complete of a player. I don't think blocking still is Shiancoe's strength, but Rudolph probably more of a backside pass-catching tight end. Seems to catch every ball that's able to touch his hands. Shiancoe, we know what he is. He's got to have a bounce-back year, but one thing with those two guys is they're going to be able to play off of each other. The more guys you can have, the more threats you can have in the receiving game, the harder it is for defenses to deploy their double-team resources. You can only double-team so many guys on the football field. Last year, Shiancoe had a couple of big games early on. He was working the seam. After that, team started to take that away a little bit from him. With Rudolph, you're able to work double seams. Boy, that's tough to cover.
Adrian Peterson maybe being in negotiations for a long-term contract, free agent after next year.
On the yelling here.
Is he here?
No, I was joking.
Chad Greenway, there's talk about signing him to a long-term deal. Visanthe Shiancoe is a free agent after this upcoming season. Any talk about signing him to a long-term deal?
Well, remember, all the tight ends, except for Kyle Rudolph, are free agents after the season. That means Jimmy Kleinsasser, too. That means Jeff Dugan. Dugan, I'm not sure, is going to be on this team. I think Kleinsasser is. With Shiancoe, though, what you start to look at is, are his skills too similar to Kyle Rudolph's skills? A lot of it's going to depend how those two guys are able to play off of each other. Kleinsasser is a different guy. He's a blocker. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the entire league. You can leave him over there on an island against an end when you need to, when you want to go to a six-man protection. With Shiancoe, there are some transferable skills. I think part of it's going to come along to how quickly does Kyle Rudolph come on. Because let's not forget, Shiancoe didn't play a ton early on in his career in terms of, putting up big numbers, but he's not a young guy. He's a guy who's 30, 31 years old at this point. How much time do they really think that he has left? A lot of it's going to come down to how do these parts fit together, because right now, look at the tight end group, you look at the receiver group, there's a lot of bodies, but are there a lot of answers?
No, there's really not. One answer is Percy Harvin. If I remember correctly, he was gone for 2 weeks last year, death in the family, other circumstances, ended up missing 2 consecutive weeks of training camp. Is there any chance Adrian Peterson, gone right now, will be gone as long as Harvin was last year? Am I reading too much into it?
I would think that you would bet against that. Now, we know what Adrian Peterson's contract situation is. He's due $10.72 million this year, but isn't a contract year at a time when D'Angelo Williams just got $21 million guaranteed from Carolina. You've got guys like Matt Forte and Frank Gore and Chris Johnson all making very clear that they want their deals reworked. I don't think we're going to that point. I don't think that there's a lot of crossover there, a lot of connection there, but you do start to wonder. If it gets beyond 2 or 3 days, that's a long paternity leave for a running back in the NFL.
For Tom Pelissero, I'm Darren Doogie Wolfson signing off on KSTP.com and 1500ESPN.com. Have a great Wednesday.